Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Esports Association State Championships Part 2. We had some matches we couldn't fit into Saturday, so we get the pleasure of watching them here on Monday. My name's Llama77, and that handsome fella over there is your boy Q. Mr. Q, how you doing today?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, we had what, 13 and a half hours, you and I, on the main channel here on Saturday. We crowned 7 champions, and you know what? Why not crown 2 more? Why is we're getting pretty darn close to that double digits, which is crazy to think about. Unfortunately, it does mean we're not going to be having state playoffs over here today, but I think she's crowning some conference championships is more important, Llama.
Yeah, absolutely. Get that first hardware out in the mix. Of course, like you mentioned, no first round matches this week that we will be watching, but hopefully able to resume next week and get back into our setup for state championships, which are only a few weekends away at this point. The 30th on Saturday is going to be a fun one live from Mount Aloysius University. But Q, we've got a matchup here today to start. We're jumping in with some Overwatch.
Should be a lot of fun. Overwatch Division 1. It is Penn Manor versus Garnet Valley. It should deliver to be a doozy. I feel like every time we see Penn Manor's Overwatch team, they definitely put on a show. So I hope Garnet Valley have come to play today.
Yeah, Penn Manor has been dominant, to say the least, over the course of the last 3 seasons that we've gotten to watch them. I mean, the only thing that I think they've been lacking is that championship trophy from last year. I mean, we've talked about the story a few times, but Penn Manor went all the way to the championship, and then a team named South Fayette, coming from lacrosse, they didn't even play in fall, come out of nowhere and come up to beat them in the championship final. So trying to revert that loss this time around, and they've been pretty flawless throughout this spring semester.
They have looked pretty darn good. I'm trying to think. I believe it's actually Shoonem's senior year, if I'm not mistaken, over for Penn Manor. I'm trying to remember from what they had said last year. I think they've got a couple of seniors. Is this their last one? But we got Ilios and Dorado guaranteed. We'll have to wait and see the last map, or the second, fourth, and fifth if we happen to go there. But oh, actually ignore the third. All we know is Ilios. That's on me. Hand up on that. But Ilios starting off. I'm trying to think of the control maps. I don't think we saw Ilios on Saturday. So they're already starting off with a little bit of change of scenery.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because it's one that really does revolve around the edges of the map, getting those boops, and you have to kind of take that into account with your overall selection of heroes here. And honestly, for both these two teams, it's pretty interesting. We get to jump into these best of 5s. We get to play best of 3s for all of that regular season. So there's a lot more parity in what you're able to choose, a lot more time for you to bounce back from losses. But also, if you drop down even further, that comeback is a little bit tougher to pull off that reverse sweep.
It is a little bit tougher to pull off that reverse sweep. I was trying to think back through even not just what we saw on stream, but what I had seen kind of come across from the results. I think we only had the one, and it was not a completed reverse sweep. It was that Rocket League series that we had that ended up going the distance, but ended up getting shut down there in the end. I feel like when you talk about at this level, right, these teams, whether it be Penn Manor or Garnet Valley, you give them 3 cracks at being able to push themselves across the finish line. I would be very surprised if they don't be able to pull it off, you know?
And it's kind of different from the regular season where, you know, sometimes you do get lopsided matches where you get the top seed facing off against the bottom seed. At this point, these two teams have earned their spot here. They had to make the top 4 from that top cut of the regular season play, and then they already had to win a playoff matchup to get this positional here to battle for the championship. So a lot is on the line. Of course, that additional hardware that you get to add to the cabinet is a nice touch. But Q, I mean, on Saturday, we were given everything. You talk about game 7s. We had some overtime for our Marvel rivals. We had a Valorant series that went all 3. So I'm super excited to see what this one gives us.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I feel like, again, for Penn Manor, I would love to see them be able to potentially be able to finish off on a hot streak. But there's always something extra spicy about teams being able to come up with the upset, especially this late. As far as in the whether you talk about conference playoffs or even state playoffs, which of course we were just talking about starting across a lot of our other titles here across this week and through the rest of the month, heading to those state championships at Mount Aloysius. Can't say I'm too surprised as far as initial bans, of course, keeping in mind we talked about it a lot over at the top of our show on Saturday. The evergreen bans. The Cat going to be off of the board here. We saw Diva banned, I think, first map in all 3 of our series. So I can't say I'm surprised about Diva being banned here as well.
It's just such a strong tank in the meta right now. Being able to eat any projectiles in your favor is a huge one. Tracer, the last one off the board. The Emery is that number 2. And it is going to be a couple of DPSs taken off the board as a whole. But, man, we saw that Jetpack Cat Bastion combination so many times. It's meta breaking, so no surprise that it gets taken off the board.
Yeah, you know what, though? I didn't see any Tracer banned in the 3 series that we had yesterday. Something tells me that Garnet Valley banning that one just may have been a targeted ban, taking that out of the hands of Shoonem here as far as for map number 1, which, by the way, I did want to give a shout out to Shoonem, because we never know when it's the last time that we may potentially have these students on our stream. I know was, if last I heard, signed a letter of commitment going to Syracuse to join their program next year. Pretty exciting stuff.
That's pretty huge. I mean, talk about the pipeline. We've already seen a couple of players from this PIEA league in years past go on to do some really amazing things. So, you know, you never know if you're a student that joins here early on and can play for a few years, get not only some eyes on you, but also get the reps. This is a big one, a championship, and it's going to be important for Shoonem to obviously do things in the future. But right now, locking in to try and focus on this best of 5.
Shoonem locking in on the Reaper. Can't say that I'm too surprised. Well, I mean, I feel like we've seen him have a pretty decent, hero pool. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Of course, we talked about it a lot over the course of Saturday. Control does give these 2 teams a good chance to be able to get things warmed up as far as the gunnies. But the one thing that I am going to be really curious to see as far as for Garnet Valley, I think they're going to have to really make sure that their target priority is on point, because it's one thing that Penn Manor is generally very good about. We can see they're doing a very strong job of that here. I mean, they've just about gotten the full team white. Eventually, Shoonem will fall as well, and because of that, Jaguars will cap this point first.
Well, it's pretty interesting team compositions too. I mean, these are 2 team compositions that don't really want to front to back, excuse me. They want to kind of play these isolated different angles. For Penn Manor, you have this Reaper Soldier that can play isolated on different angles while the Zarya tries to build up charge in the front line, but that also gives a lot of isolated targets for this Genji and the front line. For Big Jiffer, they're already taking down players though, and Clancy's able to combine it up for a double. Garnet Valley has lost all of their healing here, especially with Mad dropping below the 25 HP marker, and while Baller should just be able to finish out the fight like that.
Oh, they might have been able to get control of the point after a first team win, but eventually Penn Manor does what they do best, and now it's Shoonem trying to hold them off here. Keeping them at bay. Does have that ult available if they opt to choose to use it here. I think right now instead just going to continue to poke and prod and keep them at the window.
Holding this parity right here. It's important for Penn Manor to try and build up that percentage. Only one ultimate in their favor, and it is that Death Blossom. For Shoonem, has a really big chance to shut things down. Big Jiffer and Shoonem just winning the neutral game in a 2v2. They don't even need the ultimate. It's 3 straight kills and a double kill from Shoonem.
Who needs an ultimate when he can just hit shots like that? And you mentioned the teamwork working between as far as Shoonem and Jiffer. Wild Baller getting into the mix as well. And now, as far as for Penn Manor, it's not just Shoonem, it's the whole squad that has pushed forward here as far as for this first sub map. It's got to be so frustrating, feeling like you have no room to breathe. You will see the Doomfist will try to play super quick to get into the back line. You've been able to take Awesome down. Now is where you see the Death Blossom, which soon will allow them to get 2.
Both supports dead on either side. Penn Manor, though, is going to lose Big Jiffer on a 1v1. It's all down to Jumpy Chicken, who's going to try and get this contest, but a from the grave Kitsune rush is boosting the attack speed of the remaining Penn Manor players, and they'll cut Jumpy Chicken out of the play. It's Penn Manor who continues to win fight with still 1 ultimate left to go.
Now, Wild Baller still has theirs on the board. Of course, have the blade as far as the Genji for Crazy Kid. There's a chance that they can make something work. Here's Crazy Kid trying to make something off of the back of that, but does eventually end up falling. Got countered by Wild Baller's ult, and honestly, Penn Manor does a phenomenal job of working off of the back of that. Should just about wrap up this team fight here with it.
Big Jiffer is going to clean up on a double kill, and that should be all she wrote on the overtime fuse. What a comeback from Penn Manor. Lost the first fight, comes back to win it 100-0 after that. And Shoonem just in the neutral game, finding every which way to target them. It's a good start on a submap number 1 win on Ilios. It's going to take one more for Penn Manor to win this first map.
You know what this almost gave me like shades of remembering from Saturday was that CB South Loyal Sock match. CB South just kind of got rolled in the first team fight, and we were like, what happened? Kind of same thing happened here. Penn Manor, remember, the only one that was left alive at the end was Shoonem. Almost felt like maybe got staggered. And then all of a sudden they took control. All right, there's the comments. They've shown up. They're here. They're rolling. And they do indeed take as far as submap number 1. Doors go down. Let's see what the Jaguars can do to try and bounce back on the second.
Going to Lighthouse for the submap number 2. No hits so far for Shoonem. 15-0-1 at this point, just delivering on every level. It's an early bubble though in the front line, and that's going to be really big to give Shoonem the protection they need to take down Crazy Kids and follow up the damage. The front line is already ripped down. Jumpy Chicken down to half. They'll take down the Immortality Field, and just like that, Penn Manor snap their fingers, and the fight's over.
First team fight this time around for the Comets, looking pretty darn good. You did lose Awesome, but I mean, everyone else still looking good. You can fall back to the point itself, which by the time you get there, Awesome's also there as well. So you're all regrouped together. It's almost like you didn't even lose a player in that team fight. And now is where you're going to look to try and hold things down. I feel like in the past, we've seen Shoonem in a similar position where they're at now and has been able to kind of jump players as they come in. We'll see if they do a similar play here.
Like the build-up on damage from Wild Baller, up to 36 charge, and that early bubble usage on the backline is going to allow Shoonem once again to free fire. A 1v1 is 1 against Crazy Kids, and the follow-up is just too good. Bubble is shattered, Wild Baller finds another, and with that supportive DPS down, there is nothing left that Garnet Valley can do. They will hold them in the air as Wild Baller finds the double.
It is just so clean this time around, not dropping anybody, and you can already see up in the top middle portion of your screen, we're closing in on that 50%. The Jaguars maybe get 2 more fights at it. We've seen them switch to the Ramatra, so no more as far as mirror composition there. Shoonem and Big Jiffer falling, maybe a chance for Garnet Valley to get some control.
The question is, can they work through this Kitsune rush? Crazy Kids needs to have a finish up of this team fight here quickly. Jumpy Chicken and Lumpy Chicken both combining for 1. And it looks like Garnet Valley will finally get their first touch here in submap number 2. Lumpy Chicken has the ultimate as well. It's just going to pop it close range. Why not? Get some damage going, but it's actually going to lose their life too far forward.
Good point. How long can they hold on to it, though? You can see Jumpy Chicken trying to fall back, but they are starting to get overrun, it feels like, here in just a moment. The fisticuffs come out, and unfortunately for Jumpy Chicken, they'll look around and see the rest of their team is just about gone. It's 2 versus 4 here on point. Let's make it 1. Jumpy Chicken, last one left alive, and will fall as well. And I think at this point, if you're Garnet Valley, you've got to stop continuing to kind of siphon on in here one after another after another. You've got to regroup, because I know you want to get a touch, but you only get 1 more fight at this.
Absolutely agreed on that. I think it's also just the neutral game. Penn Manor won that fight without investing a single ultimate, and now they've got the overclock. Shoonem does die, though. Crazy Kid is the trade. They get the supportive kill, and Big Jiffer just trying to find an angle with this railgun. Finally gets the nade out, and that will just seal map number 1. Penn Manor holds onto the ultimates and closes out Ilios.
Wow, I mean, blink and you missed it. Hopefully no one showed up late, because, man, they made a light work of things in map number 1. I give credit to work to Jumpy Chicken, at least gets the play of the game. This was from that very first fight that opened things up. Oh, I didn't realize that was how the tide had turned. I didn't realize it was the double boop, and then obviously a squishy to clean up for a third. That kind of makes sense why Shoonem was left all alone on that far right side. So I guess we can see how the one fight that went Garnet Valley's way, how it did.
Good still play there at the end of the day for Jumpy and Lumpy Chicken combining for those kills. Big Jiffer ends this one 21 eliminations, but it is Shoonem who is topping the table. 29 eliminations, 9.6 thousand damage, and only 3 deaths from this map number 1.
Incredible way to come out of the gates here and get started off right. I mean, you said 96, almost 97. We'll just call it an even 10 if you're rounding it on up, which is pretty darn impressive. And remember, keeping in mind, we did see the ban on the Tracer, which was definitely a targeted ban. You take away the biggest cannon or the biggest artillery out of the biggest gun out of the artillery, and he can still shoot nonetheless. It's crazy.
And the tough part is now we talk about those evergreen bans. Tracer will now be available for the rest of the series for Shoonem after it gets banned away here at map number 1. Of course, Garnet Valley, now they get the slight silver lining advantage, whatever you want to call it, of getting to pick where we go next. They also get to pick the mode alongside that, so they've got a choice of where they want to go, and hopefully they can build a composition that reflects where they want to go as well.
Kind of similar sort of things that we were talking about last time around. Remember, keeping in mind that for playoffs, or not for for playoffs here, things changed a little bit, just in the sense that Flashpoint and Push are put together in basically a single category. So it's not 5 across. You can essentially reset them. So I'll be curious to see where they go. I feel like we probably don't go Flashpoint with as dominant as things look there as far as on control itself. But the way that those team fights are going, I just don't know where you'd want to go. I don't think that you really had anything that was like an inkling of a sense of direction, Llama.
I always like to say, you know, if you don't succeed on control, you try and go to one of those payload modes. But at the same time, we talked about it all of Saturday as well. When you choose one of those payload modes, you're giving Penn Manor the free route to just pick defense, play a good defensive side at the start, and then be able to go on their attacking side and try and finish this series out quick. And this map number 2 is going to be an important one. Whatever it will be more time in game than this map number 1. But this is such an important one for Garnet Valley. If they don't win, all of a sudden, you don't lose like the regular season, but you have to pull off that 3 map reverse sweep.
Yeah, pulling off a triple map win against the Comets is no small task either. And I think what's tough here, you know, sometimes when we talk about, okay, maybe control doesn't go your way, maybe you go down to bare bones. We saw a couple of teams do that, pick up Midtown. I'm going to tell you right now, from seeing the Comets in the past, I don't think that's the move. I think you'll want to try and find a switch up there. And you know what? We were talking about not going to Flashpoint. I guess let's just go ahead and do it anyways. We'll go off to Suravasa for map number 2.
The only reason I actually like this is because of some of the burst fights that I think Garnet Valley had in that map number 1 that they were able to fight off of. Most of those were at more ultimate expenditure than the opponents were, but at the same time, they had glimmers of hope. They know their team fight can work because, again, they're a team in conference playoffs. They wouldn't have a team fight that doesn't work if they weren't here. So the question now is, Suravasa can be a very, very quick map. I mean, Flashpoint is in the name. If you lose 3 Flashpoints in a row, it's like 5 minutes, and you're done with that map, and you're in a very, very deep hole. So, to say the least, this is a must-win for Garnet Valley.
I feel like we both made points saying we weren't going this direction. I said you don't go Flashpoint. You were also like, hey, at least in this next map, you're going to be in there quicker. Then, yeah, Flashpoint, there's a very good chance that even though you're playing for 3 points instead of 2, that it still can't get done quicker than we saw that last map. I'm just going to come out and say it. What is up with our teams and Push? I love Push. We haven't seen, I don't know if we've seen a single Push, at least that I have gotten to cast all season long. I know you've got to do a little bit more Overwatch than me, but I do know during the conference championships, nobody picked Push, and that makes me a sad, sad boy. And add that along with the mundane Mondays. It's a big feels bad, bro, for your boy. But let's look like this time around, Garnet Valley still say no Tracer. They take it off the board.
Yeah, I think the thing that we like about Push, obviously it goes 10 minutes. You have that really nice long overtime that can be snowballed away. And a lot of teams hate that, right? A lot of teams don't want to have those comeback mechanics in a map that they want to win.
Yeah.
And I think for Garnet Valley saying, okay, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose straight up on this one. We have to trust our team fight and not give Penn Manor all these extra chances to come back. So very similar bans this time around. It is going to be the Mercy added to the list. So no Diva on round 3.
See if that's what the last ban that's going to be. It comes across here from Garnet Valley. And Garnet Valley going to take out the Zarya as well. Definitely feeling like that also due to the fact that Zarya was being quite the thorn in their side as far as on map number 1. The bad news for them, I feel as much as we have seen Zarya be probably the strongest tank that we've seen from this Penn Manor frontline, they've got a pretty deep tank pool. I'm going to be really intrigued to see what they go with here heading into map number 2.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing, too, was for Garnet Valley, they also used that Zarya, and it felt like that bubble was giving them some protection from that backline. So it's kind of a do-your-own poison on that one. But they will allow the Diva to slip on through. Garnet Valley's going to change up their DPSs.
Change up their DPS a little bit. We'll see them go back to the Doomfist. What was interesting with the Doomfist for Garnet Valley, I didn't feel like we saw Doomfist diving as much as I would like to see the Doomfist dive at times. Although, of course, I'm just talking about Doomfist. We say, hey, you know what? We're going to switch up our front line completely. Of course, this is a tank that we really did not get to see throughout the course on Saturday, although we did talk about him quite a bit. Reinhardt does have the big shield, which does give your DPS a little bit of extra relief. Let's see how Jumpy Chicken does on the Rein here.
It's a really good front to back, but don't get me wrong, the 12,000 health shield disappeared, and Reinhardt has no more protection after that. Shoonem goes back to back on the kills. Big Jiffer finds the double, and Penn Manor is just absolutely ruthless with their fights.
Yeah, I mean, one, we've talked about Shoonem enough, but I think because of how much Shoonem gets talked about, I don't think Big Jiffer gets enough credit for how well they do in that DPS role as well. And I know I was talking about Wild Baller in their hero pool, but I would argue that Wild Baller probably one of our better front lines here at PIEA. I mean, when you talk about this squad from top to bottom on this roster, it's just stacked, Llama.
And not to beat a broken record, I know I combined two phrases there, but IJV has often been the MVP of this team too, with so many good ultimates. So, like, they have just power positions everywhere. They also are already 60% of the way through this flashpoint number 1, and it doesn't look like they're giving up control anytime soon. Jumpy Chicken wanted a little bit more survivability, so goes with that Roadhog that has that take a breather. It doesn't matter. The support is already dead. Bad will lose that healing potential. They'll take down the Moira, and there's IJV. Big Jiffer gets the cleanup on the Sierra, and Penn Manor just has one more to take. They've got another team kill.
See, typically I'm a fan when we see the Roadhog come out here at PIEA because we don't see the Roadhog much. So generally when we see it, it is because it's someone who's maybe more of like a like a Hog one trick or just plays them a majority of the time. Right now though, it does just feel like they're trying to figure out what works in the front line. Shoonem goes for the ult, but it's only going to be able to find one. Finds a bunch of value as far as damage, however, from Crazy Kid, Lumpy, and Jumpy Chicken.
Hooks just aren't connecting either, unfortunately, for Jumpy Chicken, and they've got no ultimates to fight him right now. The next flashpoint will take some time to unlock, but there are 3 really big ultimates from Penn Manor. You just got to make sure Big Jiffer doesn't die. On a sliver of HP, they will keep on fighting. It's going to be Sierra versus Sierra on either side. So Lumpy Chicken does have that Trailblazer ultimate, and so does Big Jiffer. So that could really decide how this next fight goes.
Already lost Crazy Kid though, so Garnet Valley already short a shooter, and that's a tough spot to be in when you're going against the gunnies of this Comet squad. And Wild Baller should be able to fall back to safety. The whole haul gonna be invested here by Jumpy Chicken. You find one, make it 2, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Wild Baller gets back in the mech after getting a takedown there, and will refresh the defense matrix to keep up the protection. And honestly, Penn Manor's positioning is so epic right now. The way they're playing this point, they're playing a 2-3 split, and Garnet Valley aren't committing on either side, so they are just consistently poking them out. They win the ultimate battle, they hold the flashpoint, and now they're not even fighting on the flashpoint. They're fighting near spawn of Garnet Valley.
Baller gets hooked that time around, but doesn't matter. Finds their way right back to safety as both Jiffer and Clancy have both found ones, and that should give them the green light to completely push forward and clean up the rest of Garnet Valley. Up to 100% here for point number 2, and they are now 1 flash point away from putting themselves on conference championship point.
And it'd be a quick one too. I mean, not only starting off that map number 1 with a 2-0, if they could get a 3-0 here on map number 2, might be the fastest series we've seen kind of all weekend, and in combination with this one. Shoonem off the back of that triple kill. Doesn't have an ultimate, and I think it's going to be important for Crazy Kid. When they pop this overclock is very important to this next fight.
Everyone wants to say a lot. I 1000% agree. You've got to get big value out of it. Got to be able to fight back against the ults that currently are being invested from Penn Manor, and I don't know if you're going to come back against it. You've already lost 3. Make it 4, make it 5. It's a clean team wipe, and that will give Penn Manor the control of this third flashpoint.
It also just goes to show you how involved everyone is. 3 out of those 5 kills go to supports for Penn Manor. They are stepping up. They are absolutely delivering on these team fights, and they use that Kitsune Rush to perfect effect. Garnet Valley, unfortunately, just does not have the ultimates to fight them, and we've seen how good Penn Manor's neutral game is.
Their neutral game has been impressive here, especially today, but I don't even know if I can say especially today. It's always pretty darn good, man. Penn Manor almost is always on their P's and Q's. Here's Jumpy Chicken looking to get aggressive, though, and that's going to take down Big Jiffer. A little bit less damage, but damage also being taken away from the Jaguars here, and that should still allow for Penn Manor to come out on top.
Wild Baller's movement, just incredible. And Big Jiffer, although they don't get any kills with that Trailblazer ultimate, it's really good just to clear out that back room, force Garnet Valley away, and put the issue back on them. A Diva Bomb should surely just end out this fight and clean up map 2 of Suravasa. Penn Manor is looking to try and go to series point right here.
Trying to make light work of things here, man. It's going to take anything short of a miracle, especially because you've already lost both of your support characters, and yeah, there it is. I mean, last one gonna be down is Lumpy Chicken. The overtime wick dwindles away, and it will be a clean sweep on map number 2 as Penn Manor now look to complete the sweep in the series.
2-zip, nice and clean for them on Garnet Valley's map selection of map number 2. And it's none other than Shoonem who finds the play of the game as the Pharah here, and this one's gonna go down as a neutral game start. You work off the Sanctuary, it doesn't matter. You find the straight for the double off the ultimate, and then just blast one through with that regular alt fire. That's a low triple kill, and that's Shoonem 24-1 with almost another 10,000 damage round.
So 24-1 here, and what was it, 29-0 last round, if I'm not mistaken, for map number 1, only having 1 death through 2 maps. I mean, there's a reason that Shoonem gets talked about so much when Penn Manor comes up. I mean, they're impressive. And you gotta give it credit. Again, we've mentioned earlier, I feel like how much he gets talked about. Jiffer never gets their credit. 8,500 with the 21-2 from Jiffer as well.
I mean, it's just everybody. When your support Lucio goes 17-0, doesn't die, and has 3,000 damage, like something is working right for this team. And I mean, Wild Baller, some credit there too. The defense matrix were perfect, mitigated 6.5k damage as well. The accuracy rate is insane. And these team of Penn Manor continues to find its success. They're up 2-0 in the series, and Garnet Valley will once again get to choose where we get to go. However, Q, we know we're going to one of our 2 payload modes.
And we know it's hybrid or escort. Where do we go? Nobody knows, at least until Garnet Valley tells us. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to be off to Midtown, but we're going to have to wait until our producer in the background tells us which direction Garnet Valley does indeed opt to send us. But if there's one thing I had to guess to go along with it, Llama, is I have a feeling that the Comets are going to start on defense.
I would assume so. I mean, I think they've done it a few times where they're just like, okay, we want to go on the attacking side for fun and see how far we can push this thing. But I really don't doubt that they are up in this series by a large margin, and now they've got a chance to go on defense and try it, make it quick for them as well. I know they've been doing a lot of preparation. When we got to talk to them on LAN, they're not just a team that likes to play in their practice time. They are one of the teams that likes to go review VOD footage and likes to see what other teams are picking, and it makes it so much more intricate with this season and the ban phase and every additional layer we're adding. It seems like Penn Manor is just getting all of the bonuses from that.
Preparation has been key. I feel like Penn Manor is one of those programs that it doesn't matter what title you see them on your schedule. you know that they're going to be prepared. They've got different coaches for their different titles. I do believe there's not one of those where it's, you know, the one coach runs it all and just oversees it all. They are a program that I think also, if I'm not mistaken, I think they also bring some of their alumni back in a similar way that we see like Forest Hills and them do too. It's always lovely to see the staff that does invest in the students, because we talked about it. I know you had a slight opportunity of being able to do it in college. I don't think you got to play in high school. I would have loved to have had something like this available back when I went to school. So really cool to be able to see this here for the high schoolers.
We had a club team, I think, for our whole school district. But I'm like, can we get Apex added? And they're like, no, we will not. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not playing then. But yeah, I mean, college is so much fun. You talk about those next opportunities for a lot of these kids. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of college scouts at that state championship final at Mount Aloysius. So if you haven't already, even if you're one of the parents, just to come out and see what the programs are like. We have so many partner colleges that have every range of scholarship, from full ride to maybe you only want to do it part-time and pursue something else as your degree. Yeah,
and usually they'll also help you, like, not only like get you lined up as far as with the esports scholarship, but like also will help direct you to other avenues to maybe help shave some of the cost off as well. I am happy that I was wrong. Not only are we not getting a hybrid, we're actually off to an escort, and we are off to Rialto here. So a little bit of a change of scenery from what I was expecting. What are you? How's that make you feel over on your side of things, Llama?
I like it. I think if you're going to continue to play this Roadhog, you want something that can, you want a map that kind of works with it, that you can throw people off the map, that you can use the whole hog to kind of boop them off, because we said it, no offense, but the neutral game right now for Penn Manor is almost better than anybody's in the league. So if you can find just some people call them the cringe plays, to just throw your opponent off the map, whatever it is, find a way to get a one-up advantage over the team on the other side.
Well, I think back to as far as Ilios, that first team fight that went their direction, it started with a double boop. So yeah, I mean, I love the idea, and there are definitely a couple of spots where you can make those plays here, including off of the rip, which did allow for them to at least get some semblance of control very, very early in map number 1. So I do think that it is going to be important here on Rialto when we do talk about over on that Jaguar side of the server. You cannot come back on map number 3. You've got to find a way to turn the tides, put those maps number 1 and 2 behind you, and you've got to come out guns blazing in map 3.
And if you don't, I mean, the series is over, but if you do, you have a lot of work ahead of you either way. So finding that start of the momentum, we assume it's going to be the attacking side, finding a good first half either way, and finding some of those fight wins is going to be important. And honestly, if they had longer to play with that Reinhardt, it's something that you can play that full front to back. Now, don't get me wrong. Penn Manor, you saw what they did. They're a very good team. They can focus down that Reinhardt shield, then dismantle the rest of the composition. If you can play a little bit safer, I don't hate the front to back, especially with that extra cover of that payload.
Yeah, I think it seems like they are a team that seems to favor the brawly style more a little bit than that dive, even when we did see him on the Doom not quite being as dive as I'd prefer to see the Doom personally. But yeah, I like the idea of going with a more brawly composition. See if you can turn the tides a little bit. I think the Ryan very well could be a big pick. Of course, before we see the picks, we have to get through our bans first to make sure that Reinhardt does make their way through the bans, because we've seen, at least it feels like Garnet Valley, of course, has been very deliberate with their picks. I don't know if we can say that Penn Manor necessarily has been quite the same, because we have seen them at least switch up their bans a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like we are waiting for Shoonem to get a PC reboot. Definitely an important player for that Penn Manor side. They definitely don't want to play 4v5, so waiting for that. But as you talk about going back to the bans, looks like most teams just aren't playing those evergreen bans on this weekend, so probably expect another Tracer ban to come through. I think that for Penn Manor, the one thing that they're most scared of, it looks like right now, is that Emery. The long range, the hit scan can provide some safety. But also, I think if that's the thing that Penn Manor is most scared of, I think they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, they've looked pretty darn good, and I guess you are right. I forgot that they did technically ban the Emery first ban, I believe, as well, both times around. So, yeah, maybe seeing that coming off of the board here once more. But as far as for Garnet Valley, you've got to you got to find a way to be able to dig deep here, because this is probably going to, well, I shouldn't say probably. If you drop this map, it is your last chance. And we do know that as far as looking at where they were as far as standings, they should be all right with state playoffs. But you still want to make sure when you're talking about those seedings, you want to try and push yourself up as high as possible. It's just an unfortunate draw with your last matchup being against the top dogs here in PIEA.
Yeah, that would feel really bad if this loss knocks you down enough where it's like, okay, we escaped Penn Manor, and our first round matchup is Penn Manor. We get to play them again. And I think every team is trying to avoid them at this point. But at the same time, those state playoffs are going to be so fun because they're single elimination. So if you drop one single series, it's a lot of high intensity on these kids, and they deserve a lot of credit for even making it there. But I mean, we saw what happened to Penn Manor last year. They looked like the undisputed champions. They hadn't lost a single map going into that championship. And then they find a team that was able to beat them on that given day.
It's true. It's always about who. It's not the I know it's not technically Sunday, but that any given Sunday sort of feel is definitely a vibe that we do see, especially at the top, even when it does come to teams like a Penn Manor. But Penn Manor did have. I mean, they're looking to try and complete the perfect semester here. They didn't drop a map during the regular season. I don't believe they dropped one during their semifinal matchup. But now just being one map away and. Again, I feel like we do kind of keep referring back to the point, but there's a difference when a team has been on a run and hasn't, suffered that loss. All of these students are back from last year. They know what it's like to get this far. Just to get this far, they're definitely going to make sure they keep the pedal down.
I will also say this is somewhat reminiscent, though, of last year's Penn Manor run. This is exactly the same things that we were saying of, okay, they're this big team that has incredible roles in every single place. But that's almost a little scary to me, Q. If I'm a team that hasn't lost until the playoffs, and maybe that's what happened in the grand finals, was their first loss happened and they didn't really know how to react to that. So, I'm not saying go throw any games or anything or throw your perfect season, but maybe losing before you get to the playoffs is a good idea, or just keep playing as flawless as you are, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at this point here, you just kind of have to hope to carry it across the finish line because you don't want to give a team like Garnet Valley momentum in a comeback scenario like here. And then obviously, well, once state playoff starts, it's win or go home from there on out. So they're kind of stuck with that no matter what. I guess maybe unless we're talking about like the perfect flawless run through. But I'm sure at the end of the day, as long as Penn Manor continues to win, they ain't going to be worried about whether they do it in straight maps or not. But let's go ahead and get ready to head on in here. We're talking about what 4 heroes could be taken off the table. Let's go ahead and get on into it and see what's actually going to be taken off the table for Rialto.
I assume we're going pretty similar in terms of the ideas for this one, but we will have to see. Penn Manor does get first ban, so probably won't self-ban away the Tracer, but could be expecting that Emery. Maybe it goes back to that Reinhardt, and it just will be that Emery.
Emery's been their first ban every single time, so can't say that I'm surprised about that one. Garnet Valley as their first ban on the board. We have seen them pick the Tracer. They won't this time, although I think we can still consider that like a targeted ban.
Yeah.
Because we did see who else but Shoonem be incredibly disruptive on the far as well.
And it's kind of interesting with, they're not new, but I'll still say new because I was an old Pharah player, but having those jetpack changes where you're more ground bound, you're not sitting in the air for the entire time, does make it an interesting ban away here, and almost screams to me that Garnet Valley may want to go back to that front-to-back Reinhardt position. There will be the Zarya banned off the board, and they get that Kitsune Rush ultimate that it feels like Penn Manor used so nicely so many times to turn those fights off the board as well. So Garnet Valley, they've kind of made their bed with the bans now, and now they've got to fight with it, assuming that whatever Shoonem wants is basically going to be up.
We'll have to, yeah. He gets his choices, basically. Yeah, I mean, we saw him play Reaper very strong, and map number 1 is available. Of course, I guess we do also have the Tracer available. Do you think at this point we see the Tracer come in here, or since you've already been having so much luck elsewhere, do you kind of just continue to flex your heroes?
I think it's interesting because they banned away the Zarya, and the Zarya with the Reaper is a really good ultimate combination. So it is going to be Penn Manor switching over to the Bastion over on Shoonem, and guess what? The Jetpack Cat is available. Q, we're doing shenanigans.
We're doing shenanigans, and Surely with Shoonem on the Bastion, you can anticipate that he will be up in the sky. Oh my, oh me. We saw some fun with this duo of heroes on Saturday. You know what? Let's see Penn Manor and what they're cooking up here. It is worth noting they're starting on the attacking side.
They will get their chance to go aggressive. Shoonem just waiting their time. Pulls out the secondary form, and there goes one. Without Crazy Kids.
Oh, it's gross.
Oh, man. Oh, man. It is just disgruntulation. Penn Manor finds the high ground. Big Jiffer will get that double. And it's Garnet Valley already down 2.
I didn't even notice that Jiffer was still rocking the Tracer on top of the Diva as well. I do not envy anybody over on this Jaguar side of the server right now. I mean, I do gotta say I like the idea of the front line to try to combat a little bit if you can stay grounded, but with so much up in the air, I just don't know if that's the pick.
And the tough part too is Wild Baller's playing this Diva that can just mess with your front to back, and it's Shoonem that'll find the 1-for-1. Big Jiffer does get the catch out, but Shoonem is just spraying at whatever they will from the high ground. They have that artillery form, dragged to the sky so they can get a better angle on it, and dives on in, finds themselves the triple. Garnet Valley down to just 2, and Shoonem, is he on for the ace? No! Awesome steals it away.
Awesome gets the 1, but if there's anything that we've know from talking with Shoonem in the past, ain't gonna be worried about the ace. Shoonem is one of the most unselfish players we do have here in PIEA, man. Just wants to win, takes whatever it does to win, and we've seen, well, it doesn't matter what hero you put them on, they'll be able to really be able to pop off with whatever you give them. Doing no different here.
Somebody looked at this hero in Jetpack Cat and okayed its release. I don't believe it. Wild Baller sends Jumpy Chicken off the map. Davius will die as well. The Wild Baller who's on a double kill. And even though they're inside, there is no backline left to go. Shoonem finds themselves another assist onto it. And Big Jiffer will finish it off with the double. Penn Manor's rolling here.
Absolutely rolling. They very well could push this thing across the end line at the end. I think we saw it once on one of these payload maps on Saturday, but they could very well have more time than they started with as long as they can keep up this momentum. Shoonem already high in the sky on top of the building that all of the Garnet Valley players are going to have to push out from here in a moment, looking to try and drop down unsuspectingly on some targets.
Just free firing while getting healed by the Jetpack at the entire time. Here comes the alternate form. It's Big Jiffer that finds one with a false bomb, and Wild Baller using their own bomb to the best of their ability. That's a nanoed Jetpack Catted Bastion. Whoever called this fun, I don't know what they were thinking, man. That's a double kill for Shoonem.
I don't know, man. I feel like this is almost like borderline cyberbullying at this point with this composition on this side. I mean, Garnet Valley just can't get anything going. I don't think that they have started a fight and been able to hold their ground. Every time Penn Manor starts shooting, they start holding back. And even with that, they try to find ways to break line of sight. They try to find ways to regather together. And it just doesn't matter. The dominoes continue to fall.
20 kills straight without a death. 14 kills in a row. Penn Manor, they've got 2 ultimates to try and close this one out as well. It is Garnet Valley trying to hold the line, doing their best with the 2 ultimates that they have left to go. Clancy will drop a little bit low, but I don't think it's going to matter. They've got Crazy Kid with the sleep. They've got the setup here on the back line as Big Jiffer starts the engagement. It'll be a jump back from Shoonem. Awesome will go for that Big Cat ultimate. And Wild Baller will continue with the damage into the back line as Shoonem cleans up 2 more. And Manor, they've been on a roller coaster of offense, and it's thrilling to watch how good they complete this.
Shoot, man, they are looking clean. Shoonem eventually falls, but I don't think it's gonna matter, as it will still be enough to get across the finish line. It will be 3:49 on the clock, so maybe not more time, but pretty darn close enough. It started with 4. It feels like only 11 seconds off the clock. Garnet Valley, now for them, I don't think you even worry about the time that's on the board. You just worry about the first team fight, and you take it team fight after team fight from there.
So tough to fight this Penn Manor team. Like you said, I don't envy them. Garnet Valley grinded away through the regular season to get a spot here in this conference championship. But Penn and Manor right now just playing through the meta, being able to play through the neutral game. And we'll see whether or not Garnet Valley has it in them to get the fight back. I don't even want to see these stats, man. Big Jiffer, 19-1. Shoonem, 24-1 with 8,000 damage on one half of Overwatch.
Wild Baller 20-0 as well. I mean, just this the frontline trio going absolutely bananas here. And there's not even a Winston being played, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, going absolutely just crazy. And again, now Garnet Valley have to find a way to combat against that and full push this thing. This is going to be tough.
I don't hate the composition change because they're going to look for basically all damage. Even their supports can pump out a ton of damage. And the idea is kill Shoonem. Do whatever you can to kill Shoonem up in the sky and then fight after that. Big Jiffer trying to play the isolated bridge angle. Will not find it. It's going to be caught out, and that means a rotate back to the rest of the team. Lumpy Chicken actually taken pretty low as they lose that immortality field. It's Hanzo Widow to try and snipe out this top front line, but Shoonem is playing safe. Big Jiffer will find the first, and again, Wild Baller is just causing disruption.
I know that right now the Bastion is kind of annoying. I don't know if I need everybody focused firing on the one, though. Maybe see if you can find the opposite support first or something, because right now, trying to keep all eyes in the skies is tough. But wait a minute, Shoonem drops and gets absolutely eliminated.
That's a good catch. And again, the spawns are pretty far away right now from Penn Manor. So turning the tide here, it is Crazy Kids that finds the shot onto Clancy. A full power shot to the bot. They will do that. It's a demacking from Wild Baller. They'll go into Baby Diva form. And hold on for Garnet Valley. They've found their win condition here. And they're pushing this payload.
They're pushing it. Gotta be able to continue with the momentum here, though. And you see that Penn Manor has been able to regather up together, and first one on the scene, who else but Shoonem. Nice job, though, to be able to disconnect Shoonem from the cat, and Shoonem gone once again. Jumping Chicken, I like this counterplay so far.
Fortunately lost the rest of their back and front line, so just a man in the front line with nothing left to do except fight Wild Baller 1v4. Garnet Valley almost get to that checkpoint. They've still got 2 minutes to try and fight their way through, and they're going to fully invest into just this takedown composition. They're about 5% away from that big old dragon from the Hanzo.
See what they can make happen with it. Got a couple of ults available for Garnet Valley that maybe you can work in succession, especially if one Jumpy Chicken gets theirs available, but down goes Crazy Kid. That's one of your 2 ults that was on the board. Now the rest of the squad are going to be kind of staggered out here, as you see. Also, Dave Miss going to be gone. Matt down as well.
They do knock Shoonem out of the grapple to start. They send the dragon into the air, and Shoonem dodges it. He's in the Matrix out here, dodging ultimates as Wild Baller finds a triple kill. Crazy Kids will give him the vision advantage, but Shoonem is back to work once again. 70 seconds from a conference championship.
Essentially, with the way these fights have been going, you can probably figure 2 team fights. As long as the first one isn't extended too much, you get 2 clean full fights. And Shoonem flanking around the back. Alternate form pop, got the turret form to be able to just continue to spray away, and that will now be 2 players down. Mad's also gone, and these last 2 should fall relatively quick.
They've got the Transcendence, but that will only delay this for so long. Shoonem has got themselves artillery ready to go, and they don't even need it. It's Clancy, Shoonem, who both find one. And with only 30 seconds left to go, this is it. The final fight, the goal line stand here from Garnet Valley, and Shoonem has already taken down the Tracer. Jiffer cleans up the 1-for-1, and this artillery form should just stop them in their tracks. Penn Manor on the cusp of greatness again.
Love to see that they're able to be good sports about it while saying the GGs and laughing about it in the game chat. am sure that it is quite frustrating, but to see the students still having fun makes it all the worth for me. 15 kill streak here for Wild Baller. We had mentioned how strong they were on the D.Va, still rocking and rolling.
Penn Manor finishes off here in a sweep as they walk away conference champions. Honestly, one of the best teams in all of the state, and they are proving it time and time again as they lock in one of the best spots going into state championships.
They look good. Top spot, top dogs, and it's Wild Baller with the play of the game on the D.Va. Saw a lot of big plays elsewhere too. I mean, just look at those stats. 36 and 1 though from Wild Baller on the front line. Quite impressive.
49 assists from that backline cat. The setup insane from Shoonem. And there's a reason that everybody has been banning away that jetpack cat. The combination of those two together is just insane right now. But for Penn Manor to read the meta, to fight through all three of these maps, and to even choose the attacking side here in map number 3, they've got a lot of confidence. And honestly, they should. For this team iteration, it looks like they are in championship form.
They do seem to be in championship form. I think the attacking pick was to show that they could full send it because they knew they were going to do exactly what they did on the defending side, which was continue to dominate. And man, as long as they can make sure that they do not overlook any of their opponents, I just don't see anyone who's taking them down right now, Llama.
It's got to be one of those LAN day scenarios. I think there's a couple other conference champions that could compete with them, but again, Penn Manor just looks like they are the best of the best right now, and they have, it feels like, been the best for 3 or 4 semesters, and the way they've trained and gotten better. I still remember Shoonem from a few years ago where, I mean, no offense, but wasn't as good as where they are now. The improvement that I've gotten to see from them is actually really cool.
It's been really fun. It's always fun seeing all the improvement from all of our players, but yeah, Shoonem has really stepped up into a really bright start. Definitely gonna be excited to see where they how they do at the next level here. So big shout out to Penn Manor as they are your conference champions here. As far as for the spring, we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing what both of these two teams do as far as our state playoffs, which are kicking off this week. We're going to be sending things over to a break, though. We are hoping to have things lined up for one more conference championship for you guys. Will be a little bit of a Valorant action, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break.
Don't wanna feel your touch like ice tracing on